Hold on.
All right, welcome to another edition of Buc What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight. You follow me, I'll follow you back. I love talking football, and 'tis the season. We're rolling into the back end of the NFL season, and you know what? Had a great game on Sunday, and that's the topic of the day so far, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about the San Diego Chargers. But I want to introduce my esteemed colleagues. I'm going to start with my special guest. First time on the podcast, Sean, the Sports Don. How you doing, my brother?
Man, you know me, brother. I'm loving life, man. I'm glad you got me on tonight, man. I can't wait to get in here and talk sports with my boys. So Peter Blake, Rick Brown, and also my boy Gene. You know what I mean?
That's right. And my next guest, he's no stranger to Buc What You Heard. My man Peter Blake. What's happening, my brother?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing? Ready to talk Buccaneer football? Of course, we finally got Sean, the Sports Don, on here. And, of course, you can listen to both of us, the only FM sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area on Saturday afternoons from 3 to 5, the Sports Web. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. On the Tan Talk Sports Network, find us at tantalknetwork.com, tantalk1340.com, and follow me on Twitter at pblake1003. Remember, every Saturday afternoon, it's the evolution of sports talk radio, and there's nothing they can do about it.
That's right. And my next guest, he is a writer for today's Pigskin, Rick Brown. You need no introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyway. This is Mr. Buzz. You want to know something about the Bucs? This is that man. This is that dude right here. If you get a chance to follow him on Twitter, check out some of the things that he's been writing about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's been spot on. Rick, how you doing tonight, my friend?
My man Gene, I just appreciate the love that you guys are showing me by allowing me to come on your podcast today. Let me tell you something, my brother. Hey, listen, guys, on the real though, I thank you for letting me on. Hey, one quick correction, today's Pigskin, we went under a rebranding per se. We are now FanRag Sports NFL. So check us out there, fanragsports.com, and hit the NFL button. You can see me talking about the Bucs. You can even see me talking about those other three teams in the NFC South, the Falcons, the Saints, and there's this other team up in Carolina that's going through some problems right now. But you know, we're going to talk about them as well. But look, follow me on Twitter at RickBrown91. And I'm not going to say I'm going to follow you back, but I will talk to you, though. So, look, holler at me.
Hey, Rick is too cool to follow you.
I don't know about too cool, but
Buzz, then there's Charlie Hornets, Mr. Buzz himself, Rick Brown. There you go.
Well, we had a really good game, really exciting game. Peter Blake, you were up in the press box along with Rick Brown. Sean, the Sports Don, you were in the stands with the fans,
yes,
checking it out, getting to cheer, getting to be part of that atmosphere that was out of this world. Everything. And I want to talk. And everything. I want to jump out here up front and say everything that I saw on TV, everything I heard from fans that went, is just like it was back in the late '90s, early 2000s, with the way the crowd was. This wasn't. This wasn't a crowd like what you're used to seeing. This was a special crowd.
Hey, man, it was exactly like it was, man. And I tell you, I was talking to Peter Blake on our show, and I talked about it. I don't remember the last time I went to a game where we actually won. And I'm talking about, man, the crowd was everything that you would have expected from the 2002 Bucs, the 1999 Bucs when we played, the Rams in the NFC Championship. The crowd was electric. And Jameis Winston even gave the fans the game ball this week because it was that electric. And I'm telling you, man, I think it's coming back. And if the Bucs keep doing what they're doing, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be the place to be like it was back in 2002. You better be there because I'm definitely going to be there.
Yeah, them tickets were hard to come by back in the day. I tell you that.
Yeah, no, it was definitely an ugly win. It was really reminiscent of a Bucs ball win, 14-5 defensive shutdown by this unit on the Seattle Seahawks during the game, and I think that was probably the most shocking thing. They really got after Russell Wilson. They got out to an early lead. The offense kind of stumbled. I think that was more of Seattle making adjustments, but let's not make any excuses. A win is a win, whether it's ugly or not. At home, you're 2-4 now at home this year. So an exciting win. And you look at the last 2 weeks, guys, they've beaten the Kansas City Chiefs on the road, and they come home and take care of business versus the Seattle Seahawks. So very impressive the last 2 weeks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, Rick, I want to get your thoughts on that too.
Agreed with both of those guys. The crowd was the loudest I have heard in a very long time. It started out with a lot of 12-man early on in the game, and you heard some Seattle Seahawks or Seahawks, whatever they were doing. You heard that early. But after those first 2 drives, which I have to say were the very impressive drives to open up the game, those Seattle fans kind of like disappeared, and the Tampa Bay fans took over. That was impressive. The second thing that was impressive to me, and has been for the last 3 weeks, is how well the Buccaneers secondary has played. Mm-hmm. Now they say that coverage and pass rush goes together. Well, I think the Bucs had 6 sacks on Sunday, and the coverage was from Alteron Werner and his emotional performance during that game with the interception. Bradley McDougald has played as well as I've seen him play in a very long time, if ever. They overcame Chris Conte's injury, and the secondary just played solid throughout the game. A very impressive win, as Peter stated, the last 2 weeks at Kansas City. Not an easy place to win. And against a perennial playoff team, a perennial championship contending team, to go toe-to-toe with them for the last 3 quarters, that was pretty special.
Yeah, I want to jump in here too. I think that was huge. I feel like the pass rush is starting to come along, and because of the pass rush, it's taking pressure off of the secondary because the quarterback isn't having time to scan the field and see where he wants to throw the ball. So I'm really excited about what the front four. Noah Spence, a rookie that's come in and progressively gotten better. And this is a guy that a lot of Bucs fans have been excited for, and we can see the reason why Bucs fans are excited about this young man is he's got that high motor. And I went back and watched the game again, and then I watched on all 22, and there were coverage sacks where Tampa had everybody covered, and Russell Wilson had nothing left to do but, eat the ball, and live to play another down. So I think what this defense is doing is very impressive compared to where they were at the beginning of the season. So, Sean, I want to get with you. I know that you've been a big stickler on the defense over the past couple of seasons, and I really want your assessment on this. Especially this. Yeah, this is a signature game to me because you're talking about the Seattle Seahawks, who are potential playoff contenders and possibly even maybe going to the Super Bowl.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. You're talking about the front four, and one thing I will say, I was mad at the Bucs for waiting to unleash the front four. And when I say unleash the front four, I mean blitzing a little bit more. And I think you see the front four being able to get a little bit more lubricated now because sometimes we're mixing in the front four pressure with the blitz packages. And the blitz packages are really opening up the front four and allowing those guys to actually go and hunt because now they're not just sitting back and understanding that they can pick apart a zone or whatever type of coverage we have in the background. And I think that's what's opened up this front four a little bit more. Hats off to my boy Noah Spence because he did just win, obviously, Rookie of the Month. So we got to give him credit for that. But I think it goes hand in hand, and I think the fact that the Bucs are opening up and being more – because we heard about it at the beginning of the season that we had a lot of blitz packages, and we had a lot of different coverages that we're going to do. But now we're seeing it come to fruition, and the Bucs look like the 2002 Bucs, defensively wise.
And I think they're helping. I actually Spence, even though he's dealing with the shoulder injury, but now you have back Robert Ayers, you have back Gerald McCoy, you have Clint McDonald back. And also, Mike Smith mentioned this, they simplified the game plan a little bit. They've asked the defense to do a little bit less, and it seemed like it's worked out for them. So I think that also goes hand in hand. And then on top of that, when you have the emotional situation with Werner and losing his father and the way he's played and how it's motivated this team, I also think that that's one of the things that's stepped up. It's the letter. It's from Jameis Winston. It's Werner losing his father. It's Phil losing his father last year. It's Quan Alexander losing his brother. There's so much motivation on this team, and this team wants to come together, and they seem like they're together, and they seem like they're a family at this point. And this was an important win with all this stuff going on. And I'll go back to you, Sean, on this. You talked about this on the Sports Web, which, again, you can be heard on the Tan Talk Radio Network Saturday afternoons from 3 to 5, the only FM sports talk.
Yes, sir.
About a mentally tough team. They were a mentally tough team on Sunday, and I'll give you the situation. Jameis Winston throws an ill-advised pass, and previous Buccaneer defenses would allow that Seattle offense to go down and score a touchdown, yet they stand up and they knock down Seattle. They shut them down. They get a 3-and-out. They make a big play at the end of the game to end the game. So this team is getting more mentally tough each game.
Yeah. And, like, again, I like the contrast from what we saw at the beginning of the season after the Cardinals lost and then some of the other games that they lost that were really kind of brought them down. But you have to consider all the injuries. And you look at the Buccaneers right now and all the people that are getting healthy. And this team can go nowhere but up, to be very honest. I mean, as long as they're focused on this next game, they forgot about the Seattle Seahawks. They're focused on the San Diego Chargers. That is what's going to be the part of the formula for them winning that game, is being focused on that team and going in and handling business.
Exactly.
The last 3 weeks or so after that Atlanta game, and they had a few days to go over and to think about what had happened, I really think that what has happened is they've put in the time on the practice field. They've put in time on the practice field, but off the field as well. Each individual to find out. They've looked in the mirror. Okay, what can I do better? What do I have to do to help this team get better? And I think a lot of them, I'm not going to say all of them did this, but a lot of the key players did this. And I think it's paying off. The practices, from what we've been told, have been crisper. I mean, for the first time after that Atlanta game, I heard that next game that they had some of the best practices ever. And so every week we've always asked, how's practice been? And it seems to be on that same level where they're going after each other. They're paying more attention to details. And I think that really helps.
Yeah,
And
let me jump in here real quick. I would like to say that I believe that Jameis Winston being in Tampa, his ability to study film, the fact that he wants to get better is starting. The culture is starting to change, and I can say this as a fan looking at the Buccaneers going back to, I'm going to start at 2005, 2006, and I look at this team now. They are all focused on getting better. I mean, every last one of them. If there's somebody that's not, I think Jameis Winston made the comment, if somebody took offense to my letter, maybe they don't need to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there speaks volumes to me, because you're talking about a team, they're coming together, the culture's changing, they want to win. And they're serious about winning.
Listen, hold up, guys. Let's pump our brakes a little bit. And Pete, we talked about this a little bit on Sunday as well with one of my colleagues from Associated Press, Fred Goodall. You know, the letter, okay, that's nice and all that. And standing and playing together, playing for your brother and all that. No. Listen, please.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
That's nice and all.
Okay.
But if they don't win, then that's nothing. It says nothing. See, this league is so week to week, and because you could be so high one week, and then you can have a loss that's the end of the world, and so last week means nothing, unless they continue to build on that. Now, when you look back at the season, you might be able to say that game was a turning point, or that instance was a turning point, or that's when Jameis finally took off the glasses and the tie and became the Superman that everyone thinks this guy is. Or it could just be just another moment in an 8-8 season, or a 6-10 season, or whatever they finish out. It's too early to say right now, and if that was the key.
And
Well,
you know,
and so
can I jump in here, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
I definitely hear what you're saying, but no one thought before this season started that the Bucs were a playoff team, unless you're talking the Spider, or you thought they were a Super Bowl team. Okay, so the fact that they are actually,
and you still do? You think they are now?
Huh?
You think they are now?
Do I think they're a playoff?
No.
I don't.
Hold on, Pete.
Let me finish my point.
Okay.
What I'm saying is this team is actually getting better. So whether or not that win and when he wrote that letter mean it translates to a playoff team, I don't think we need to judge that letter based on that. We need to judge that letter based off of building a mentality for this team, what we're going to be going forward. So
But he did that last year. At the end, remember the end of the year? Remember the end of the year? Remember the end of the year where he called out people and said
he
that.
called them out. He didn't write a letter. It's different.
He called them out in the media. That is a letter. That's a public letter. We don't know what was in that letter.
Hold
we don't
on.
know what was in this letter.
All right, let Sean finish here.
Listen, when he called players out at the end of the year, he said, I thought coaches wanted to win more than the players did. And you can see that Jason Light, they're getting rid of players a la Austin Safarian-Jenkins that is not on the same page. What I'm saying, though, that letter is let these guys believe, and though the season isn't over and there's a different way we need to approach our games. Just like Robert Ayers is doing. He told the team after practice that we're not playing the way we should practice or play the way we should play. So what's happening is the culture is being changed. And whether or not we get to the playoffs this year, I'm not going to be pissed off about that or disappointed about that. But going into next year, there's a new way of thinking in Tampa Bay. And Jameis Winston, Robert Ayers, and Dirk Cutter and Jason Light, they're trying to hold in on those players that understand that, you know what, this is how you need to perform, not just this week, but every week. And I'm cool with that, knowing that my team is trending in the right area or in the right progression.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be excited about right now, because if the Bucs don't win their division, we probably won't win a wild card. But I am happy that the fact that we're trending in the right direction and we have that mental toughness that we need to have to be a sustainable championship contender.
I don't know if you can say that yet.
Rick, let me ask you this. Do you feel like this is needing of a culture change based on the past seasons? Do you think that it's important to have that culture change in the locker room, in the facility? Do you think that what Jameis Winston did has no effect on that culture change, or do you think the letter is just a moot point? Or I mean, is that what you're getting at here?
Yeah,
that letter is a moot point at this juncture of the season.
Listen, I take it. Look, Jameis is a leader. He is a leader. I said it from day one when I wanted him drafted number one. I thought he was a perfect person for this job, a perfect quarterback to lead this team into the future. And what he does is, and I thought early on last year, he tried to stymie who he was and defer to the other veterans until later on into the season, and he picked up. Having said that, the things he do, they're nice. I mean, they're good things. The letter, I'm not I'm not taking away from the letter, but I don't think it has that much effect on the team. I don't think these guys, these are men. These are grown men. And I don't think this letter is saying, oh, we're all going to kumbaya and it's us against the world. I think so. And you asked me about the culture change. I thought the culture was changing last year in the sense that they were moving. They did get better. They lost the last 4 games of the season. Sean, please. They lost the last 4 games of the season, but I don't think that had an effect overall. I thought they were a better team last year than they were the year before.
Rick,
Having said that, I think they're a better team this year than they are last year. Now, does the letter have anything to do with that? No. I just think they're growing as a team. I think they're growing as individuals, and they have players in there who are holding each other accountable.
Rick, but you heard players come out and say how that letter affected them. People like Cecil Shorts that said, I've been in 3 different locker rooms, never seen this happen. We saw Gerald McCoy, who's been a 4-time Pro Bowler, who's come out and said, he talked about the letter in his pregame speech. It has affected them because this guy he's tapping into something that not every player can tap into. Again, I go back to when Jameis Winston gave the game ball to the fans. That is something that doesn't happen from all leaders, and it's changing something. It's different. And for you not to, I guess, see the difference in it, I mean, I get where you're coming from, where it should already be there, but it's not always there. He's tapping into something that's not normal, and that's
it's not normal.
That is not normal. I will have to say that is not normal.
It's not normal what he's doing. He's a different leader that we've never seen, and I think that's why people like me, Peter Blake, even Gene, we were so happy when the Bucs had an opportunity to draft this young man because his leadership skills is on a whole nother level. We see him in the preseason on the 4th game of the season where he's standing at the front of the fence and touching everybody. He's not even playing, but he's trying to get those guys who's going to be beer truck drivers and work for FedEx, and he's getting these guys hyped up because Tom Brady doesn't do that. Tom Brady knows who he is, but Jameis Winston is still in the fight with these guys who are fighting for their lives on the 4th preseason game. That's what we're talking about here. And the Bucs, whatever's happening in that locker room, a lot of that is happening because of the leadership that he's bringing, and it's different. It's different. It's different. I don't know why you can disagree with that.
Well, guys,
I didn't disagree with it. I'm sorry, Gene, but I didn't say I disagree with it. What I said was that I don't think that was the reason of this. I don't think just because of this that they're where they are now. I'm sorry. I'm going to jump in here.
Let me be the voice. I'm going to be the voice of reason here, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
I still smell what you're cooking. I definitely smell what you're cooking. Look, it could be a combination of things. It could have been the letter. It could have been motivation. It also could have been, again, simplifying the game plan. It could have been the fact that you finally get your defensive line back healthy. Yes. Comfortable. That you had the most important weapon on your team that was hurt most of the year, and Doug Martin, who's made this team and the offense more balanced. It could be a combination of things. But right now, guys, it's a perfect storm. And you're exactly right, Rick. If they lose against San Diego, it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't, because you got to continue this momentum. You got to continue to win games. You got to continue to beat teams that you're supposed to, and maybe you're not supposed to. Seattle was one of those teams that a lot of people said that's going to be a loss.
Kansas City.
They surprised a lot of people. Kansas City. Chicago, they were supposed to beat. But look, we've seen it before, and we may see it again. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost games that they should win, have been famous for making quarterbacks look like superstars. So right now, I think it's a combination of things. It's a perfect storm. Let's see what they do on Sunday versus the Chargers, and we'll judge from that.
Can I ask you guys,
all right.
Do you guys think if the Bucs do not beat the Chargers that they should have won that game? Are you looking at that game like that, or do you think the Chargers are just in the same position to win this game as the Bucs? Do you think the Bucs should beat the Chargers? I don't think that. I don't think that.
This is not a gimme game.
No, it's not an easy game, but it's a team that's figured out how to lose games at the end of the fourth quarter. They figured out this year. They have lots of talent. They have a hell of a quarterback in Phillip Rivers, but good teams find ways to win and bad teams find ways to lose. And the Chargers are not certainly a good team, not compared to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game. Now, you can talk about going on the road and going to the West Coast or whatever else. They've already been there. They beat the San Francisco 49ers on the road. So let's stop using this excuse of we can't go on the West Coast and beat a team. They should beat the Chargers. Okay? The Dallas Cowboys are going to be a challenge because it's going to be on the road. But look, guys, the Dallas Cowboys could win this game versus the Minnesota Vikings. And who's to say that maybe they rest their starters? Maybe they rested Elliott. They should beat the Carolina Panthers. So right now, I look at the way the Buccaneers are playing and the momentum that they have, and I would expect them to beat every team on the schedule. Now, maybe I'm a homer, and maybe I'm the person that said that they were going to win 10 games during the year, but right now, fellas, I'm 4 away from that.
Rick Brown, what do you think? You think this is a game they should win?
Unless you go into a game thinking you should win it, then you shouldn't go out there.
Right.
And so, yes, I think this is a game they should win. I think they match up well against San Diego. I think they have more weapons offensively than San Diego. I think their defense can hold down the weapons of San Diego's offense.
Sure.
Should they win it? Yes. But if they don't have a good week of practice and they go out there lollygagging, then Phillip Rivers will throw for 400 yards. Antonio Gates will catch 150 yards worth of passes, and Joey Bosa will get 5 sacks. And the Bucs will lose, and they'll come back at 500. So do I think they should win? Yes. Do I think they will? Time will tell.
That's right. That remains to be seen. So, well, you know, I want to get onto the San Diego game, but I'm gonna wrap this up with the Seahawks game. Sean, I'm gonna start with you. Who would you give your game ball to for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game that we just saw against the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, you know, I'm gonna say, you know, I'm a defensive guy, so I give my game ball to the whole defense, man. Like, again, I go back to I haven't seen a performance like that since 2002. I even heard Warren Sapp talk about it. He said his great defenses have never had a quarterback like Russell Wilson, and they've dominated a quarterback like Russell Wilson the way this defense dominated Russell Wilson. So I'm going to defer to Warren Sapp and say, listen, this defense, the way they played on Sunday, I'm telling you, I was galvanized. The fans were galvanized, and my game ball goes to the entire defense because without that, I know you guys were looking at this game and saying the same thing I was saying. The Bucs need to score. We need to get a score on this drive, and we never did score after those 14 points. We kept saying we need to score, and we didn't, and that defense stood up every time, whether it was turnover, whether it was sack. My game ball goes to the defense all the way. Tampa Bay got the defense back. That's
all right. Peter Blake, I want to go to you. And who would you give your game ball to?
Yeah, I would say I would give my game ball to Otternaut Burner. Anytime you go through what he went through during the week, losing your father on that Friday right before Thanksgiving and playing through that, you're definitely a man's man. You're definitely a warrior to go through that and then make a play. You played well. It was a challenge. The Seattle offense is, nothing to sneeze at. That's a good offense. So Verner did a good job. He played through that. And I would also say, if I'm going to also give another game ball, would be to Mike Smith. I talked to him off camera because I was doing my TV stuff on the sideline. Sean, you weren't there, but that's okay. And I said, great game plan, Mike Smith. And he said, you know what? We're going to get better. We're going to get this better. It's going to get better. And to me, I think Mike Smith, he was criticized, and I was one of those people that criticized him about not coming out and blitzing and doing all these things. But you know what? I also said that this defense would get better throughout time. And again, it comes back to this team finally being healthy. They're healthy at all those positions. And I would give it to Werner, and I would give it to Mike Smith if I have my choice.
All right, Rick Brown.
My game ball goes to punter Brian Anger and gunner Josh Robinson.
Good.
I think when the offense struggled, those two guys put Seattle in some very tough situations inside the 10, inside the 20, a lot of times. And I think that helped the defense out as well. So my game balls go to Brian Anger as well as Josh Robinson, the gunner.
All right. You stole my thunder, man, because I didn't think anybody would jump on that except for me. I'm on that Brian Anger for Pro Bowl bandwagon. I'm right there, man, because what he was able to do field position-wise was huge for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense to go out and hold that Russell Wilson offense. And I was really impressed with his kicking. I've been impressed with his kicking all season. I haven't really seen a reason to complain about this guy. He's been consistently good throughout the season, and that was huge for Jason Licht to bring this man in to help this Tampa Bay Buccaneers special teams to compete. So
special teams in general, Jason Licht, you'll bring in Josh Robinson. People talk about J.R. Sweezy, but they don't talk about Josh Robinson. Robinson could be a Pro Bowl gunner for this team. Some of the plays he's made this year. Russell Shepard. So, it's a team game. 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams. And both of these players, Josh Robinson and Brian Anger, that's a great game ball because, look, when you're playing a defensive type of game, you have to play the field position game. And you're exactly right, Rick. Punter and the gunners and special teams, maybe not Roberto Aguayo, but we'll probably talk about that down the road. And I know that's what we talk about here on Buc What You Heard podcast. I think it's so important to have those 3 phases of your game. And once you have those 3 phases, then you see what you have here. You can win an ugly game 14-5. I mean, guys, we haven't won a type of game like this in so many years. I was walking around the press box. By the way, Sean, you weren't there again. And talking to TJ Reeves. And Reeves, he tapped me and he said, this is kind of like a Bucs ugly win, a Bucs ball kind of, and this is what we were kind of used to being Bucs fans, watching Tony Dungy coach this team.
Peter Blake, I felt at home watching that. I felt at home watching that. I love the 14-5. I loved it. I know you guys want to see all the bombs and a lot of scoring. I'm cool with the 14-5. You know why? Because that tells me that I'm home. It smells familiar. It smells familiar to me. And I can get behind a team that keeps a team from scoring as opposed to we're going to try to outscore you, because you can't win championships outscoring somebody, but you can win championships when you keep somebody from scoring.
Hey, guys, I do want to bring up an interesting point, and I want to get all your guys' thoughts on this. Brandon Glover, who's over in the chat, he mentioned that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are communicating better at this point in the season as compared to the beginning of the season. Do you guys see that?
Oh, I definitely see it because, first of all, the team talked about it. After we lost to the Falcons, one of the things they talked about was communication. And we're seeing that come to fruition right now. The last 3 weeks, we've been balling on a level that we haven't done again since 2002. We've given up, guys, 10.5 points a game for the last 3 games. So that lets me know they're communicating. And once I see that, that tells me that we self-scouted ourselves. A lot of teams don't do that. They point the finger at one another. Rick Brown, you touched on it earlier. These guys, yes, they looked in the mirror and they said we were not doing what we're supposed to do. You talked about I wasn't in the game this last week, Spider, but one game we were at, Mr. Quan Alexander talked about it. We have to do better ourselves. We have to go back and try to self-scout ourselves individually. And they've done that. And that's why I'm happy. And that's why we've given up 10.5 points a game these last 3 games.
And guys, let me tell you again, he's a defensive guy. He'll say that a couple of times now. That's what he does.
Well, fellas,
you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to focus on the San Diego Chargers game. I've been listening to a lot of sports talk radio for the San Diego Chargers, and they are really giving a lot of respect to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on all the shows I've listened to, even more so than some of the people I listen to on the local networks. And just based on what they're saying, what do you think about the San Diego Chargers, and what is the key to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going out there and winning that game? And Rick, I'm going to start with you.
Sorry. For me, it's 2 things. Turnovers. On offense, you cannot turn the ball over. You just avoid the turnovers. And on defense, take the ball away. And the turnover margin, having a better turnover margin really helps you out. It gives you more possessions. It changes dynamics. Look at that Kansas City game, the Chris Conte interception in the end zone. That's at least the Bucs went down and scored 7 on that play.
Yeah,
I think
a touchdown.
So that's at least a 10-point turnaround, just from that interception.
Minimum.
So it's critical to do that. Those are 2 of many keys, because I think they have to run the ball. I think they have to establish run. I think they have to stop the run. I think they have to make San Diego one-dimensional. And then you guys mentioned it earlier about their communication and how better it's been, especially on the defensive end. You haven't seen as many busts lately in the back end. That's critical, and that has to continue. That's why this week of practice is paramount, I think, for them to be all on the same page. So when they go out there, they'll be able to do what they've been doing the last 3 weeks.
And a follow-up question for you, Rick Brown. Have you been able to watch the Bucs practice this week?
Yes and no. I've been able to watch them stretch. I mean, we only get 30 minutes. And the 30 minutes we get, they're stretching. They're stretching. They're doing individuals. They're, Jameis might be throwing some touch passes to the running backs and tight ends and wide receivers, but we don't see them running any plays or anything like that. So, yes and no. I've seen them, but I don't know what they're doing for real.
All right. And, right at this point, I think this is a good time. And Peter and Sean, I'm going to get to you in a minute. This is a good time to talk about the injury report. It looks like Huff is back. Jacquizz Rodgers was at practice. And who else was at practice? Somebody else was at practice that I'm thinking. Oh, Charles Sims was practicing with the team. I know he's not eligible to come back for another week, but that's exciting to see different pieces of the offense, especially at Josh Huff, which we haven't got to see him yet because of the injury where he would have possibly been in a couple of weeks ago. But it's interesting that all these guys are getting healthy at the right time, and I think that's key towards the Bucs being a solid team on the back end of the season. So,
Can I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely.
With the Charles Sims situation, guys, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the Bucs have not used a lot of the screen game since Charles Sims been out, and using the back out of the backfield. Charles Sims is someone who can obviously bring that screen game back to life, and he can also split out wide and be a receiver. And I think he's going to be a big cog into our offense moving forward. With Josh Huff, I've never seen him play. I know he's great in the special teams game and returning punts. And I know the Bucs are going to try to utilize him in that fashion. But I just think it's really big to be able to bring back Jacquizz Rodgers this week what I'm hearing, he's going to be back this week, and then bringing back Charles Sims the week following, and then we can incorporate that screen game because Jameis Winston is going to need that because Jameis Winston is the most blitz quarterback in the league. And the Bucs will be able to slow down some of that blitz, being able to get the ball out to Charles Sims, who's dynamic in space. That's going to be big moving forward as it relates to helping Mike Evans and some of the receivers that we got going on. I'm looking forward to Charles Sims coming back.
Absolutely. And guys, one second, Pete. I'm coming to you now. I want to know what your 3 keys to victory are, and then you can go ahead and touch on what you were talking about.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Rick and Sean are exactly right. You're going to have balance to this offense. The running game is going to have to work. I like the run-to-pass differential. You have 24 runs last week, 21 passes. That's money for the Buccaneers. My 3 keys would be easy. I think you got to get pressure on Phillip Rivers. Yes, you have to make that team one-dimensional in their running game, but you have to get pressure on him. If you let him sit back there 4 to 6 seconds, he's going to pick this team apart. You got to build off of that success. The number 2 point would be defensively. 6 sacks against Seattle. They're not a great offensive line. San Diego may be a better line. So you're going to have to, again, you're going to have to build off of that. You're going to have to get sacks. And then my 3rd reason would, again, stay balanced. Stay balanced with that offense. You don't want Jameis Winston to single-handedly win that game. You don't want him to get into that mode where he has to throw the ball because we know when he throws the ball over, 40 times or something, there's a possibility he could throw an interception. Any quarterback in the NFL. But, again, this team win is by balance. You have to have balance. So getting Rodgers back, getting Martin back, and having that balance of the offense has made him that much explosive because, like I said before on one of my previous shows, the running game is like a relationship. You have to commit to it. And if you commit to it, you're winning. On top of that, when the defense commits to it, you're done. You get that commitment to that running game and that balance to the offense, it works out.
All right. Sean the Sports Don, I want to get your three keys to victory for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off one of the things that Spider said. Obviously, having that balance, when I have the balance, it's not necessarily because I'm scared of Jameis Winston. I just think when a defense cannot key in on what you're trying to do from an offensive standpoint, I think it hurts you. Also, I think keeping the defense, our defense, on the sideline definitely helps because we're running the ball, we're chewing up some of that clock, and the defense is getting rest, okay? That is going to be key. Secondly, I think defensively wise, we definitely have to rush the passer, and I don't think we need to sit back because we have a quarterback in Phillip Rivers who can pick you apart, but he's not a mobile quarterback, so therefore we got to continue to blitz as we've been doing these last 2 weeks to try to get him off his spots, to try to get quick turnovers, possibly throwing bad picks or whatever the case may be. That's going to be key. And my 3rd key is special teams. Being able to flip the field. I don't want to see the Bucs always having to start from the 10-yard line, the 9-yard line, getting off the field when we've got the ball in our plus territory from a defensive standpoint, not letting them progress the field or progress the ball down the field, and we're starting from our 9-yard line, making our field goals. Those are going to be key because we're playing a team. I don't care what you say, Spider. I think this team feels as though they can win just as much as the Bucs feel that they can win, and I think this game is going to be determined based on that. Being able to take advantage of situations and not putting yourself in situations that you're always behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off of what you were saying, Sean. It's going to be very important that Jameis Winston does not put the defense in a bad position. Basically, turnovers. Your Chargers, they get interceptions. I know this is a game that everybody's looking at. The Bucs should win this game, but I'm telling you right now, they have to go in with the mentality that they had against the Seattle Seahawks, that this is a dangerous team and we got to go in and put them down. The second key to me is the defense. 3 and outs. You got to get him off the field. Phillip Rivers, once you get him off the field and give your offense a decent chance to work with the ball. I think Dirk Cutter's play calling, he can make some things happen. Third thing is if the Bucs get a lead, you got to put your foot on the gas.
Yes.
You cannot go conservative in the second half. If you have a lead or you're in a position to get a lead, you gotta keep hitting them. You got to keep the hammer down on them, because what I saw last week was a team that kind of went conservative, and I'm not knocking it. A win is a win, and I love a win more than the next guy. But it's important to keep their foot on their throat if you're wanting to win against a team like the San Diego Chargers.
Can we ask Rick Brown about that? Because Rick Brown, you've been around football longer than a lot we have.
Leather helmets.
Yes. You've been around these leather helmets. Explain to us, because I've talked to Gene offline before, and I've heard that. Why is Cutter sometimes getting so conservative when we should be putting the foot on the throat? What is your thought process on that? And are the Bucs doing a disservice by doing that?
Sometimes yes, but most of the time no. Sometimes you would rather punt the ball than put Jameis in situations where he has to win it or where he has to force things. Jameis is best when he's in play action mode, when teams aren't necessarily gunning or sending everything at him, and he's not having to wait on his shoulders. He's not having to win it. He's not in gunslinger mode, put it that way. And to keep Jameis out of gunslinger mode, because the gunslinger mode we've seen for Jameis so far through 27 games hasn't been good. No. So you want him to just sling it in there when you can. And so I think Cutter understands that, and he would rather play conservative than to just unleash Jameis, because he thinks I don't know if you guys are into comic books but you guys are into wrestling. So
not me.
Gunslinging Jameis is a heel, whereas the other Jameis is the nice guy. He wants to keep Jameis the nice guy, the hero, instead of being the heel. And that's why I think he's more conservative. And he's trusting the defense.
Yeah, and let's keep Winston as Hulk Hogan, not Hollywood Hogan, okay, Sean, because you're not a wrestling fan. But you're exactly right. And to piggyback on that with the third down conversions, keep them at 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7. Those are manageable situations. You do that by alleviating those penalties, and you do that by also having that balance on offense with the running game. And then with that being said, you're exactly right. I think Winston is best when he's on the run, when he's naked booting, when he's making things happen, because then the defense has to account for him. And then when the defense has to account for him, somebody gets open. I think that's when you're at your best. If you're asking him to go out and get 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 15, I don't think that's a great game plan. And I love this game plan the last couple of weeks because, again, I think it comes down to this, guys. Doug Martin is back. He is so important to this offense. And when the running game isn't there and Doug Martin isn't there, you depend on guys like Rodgers, and he gave you some weeks there of production. But if you don't have that production, then I think that's where the offense fails.
I'm going to tell you guys, I want you to go back and look at a lot of times we're in 2nd and 15, 3rd and 15, how many times Jameis picked those up. He does a great job of that. I really think the Bucs are doing a disservice of trying to curtail Jameis, because I think we have a special talent there that we need to go ahead and unleash it. And, we look at a Brett Favre, you look at him, he was a guy that, sometimes he made some bad decisions.
A lot of time.
Yeah, but more times than not, he was making great decisions, and he was winning games for his team. And I just think that when you start trying to put someone in a box, you don't allow their true talents to come out. And I just don't want them to do that with Jameis and be scared with that. I think we got to tap into that mentality that he has to be able to make a play when there is no play. Because you can teach somebody how to make a play when there's a play to be made, but you can't teach somebody how to make a play when there's no play to be made. And I don't want to curtail that. I think because that's when you become special. You can be good, but I think this guy is special.
I think he's been special. The last 6 games, 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Nobody's trying to put him in a box, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to alleviate those turnovers, and you don't want him to go and have those situations when he's in those long third downs because your offensive line, your offensive line, he's got hit a lot this year, so don't put yourself in those situations. And again, you look at the wins, you look at the turnover differential. With that all being, you look at this team winning, he is a special quarterback, and he's going to be a special quarterback, and we know that. But what I'm saying is put yourself in those situations where he can be special, and those situations to me are not on 3rd and 15. They're on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, because then you can use the pass play action. You can roll him out on those waggles. You can roll him out on those naked bootlegs. And when you do that, once again, that defense has to account for him. And then there's somebody open, guys. It's either Mike Evans or Cameron Brate. But let's not, complicate things here. You only have Mike Evans. You have Cameron Brate. You don't have all these weapons around him. So be in those situations.
I agree.
What you're doing is basically you're adapting your offense to what you have. And what you have right now is 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, and a couple complementary wide receivers, excuse me. So I'm not saying he can't make those plays. He can. He's shown us that. But I would be more apt to him having those situations where he's in those manageable third downs.
Guys, can I ask all you guys a question?
Absolutely.
With Dirk Cutter, what are some of the things that you're concerned about? Because I do have some concerns. We're just talking about it. Like, for instance, when Jameis Winston threw the touchdown, it was called back because of hands to the face with, the
phantom call. Yeah, I remember.
And then he still tried to go for a touchdown, and Jameis Winston threw a bad pass. Back to your point, Spider, where Jameis is young, and we put him in position where I thought we should have just ran the ball and just stayed in field goal range. What are some of the things that concern you about Cutter with learning how to be a coach, a game manager that is not coming to fruition sometimes when we're playing? Because Cutter's made a lot of bad decisions as a coach that could have cost us.
I will say this. One thing that I've noticed about Dirk Cutter is he doesn't make the same mistake over and over and over again. I think he does learn from his mistakes just based on what I've seen. And I don't have a problem with that aspect. I think that, when he does make a mistake, he does go look at game film, and it's something that he does learn from, and you don't see it over and over and over again. If this was something that happened repeatedly, I would be with you on that. But just letting him as a rookie coach coming into the NFL, a rookie coach in the NFL, I think he's done good. I think his play calling against Kansas City was great. I thought his play calling, in the first half of the Seahawks game was good as well. He did what he needed to do. He leaned on the defense in the second half, and the defense didn't let him down. So I can't argue with really anything he did. I mean, me personally, because I'm not a head coach, I can't really speak on that. But what I'm seeing, I would have liked for him to have gone for the throat against the Seattle Seahawks because of how potent Russell Wilson can be when he has a chance to go after somebody. So that's just how I was looking at it. And, maybe I'm wrong. But, again, I'm not a head coach. I'm a fan, and that's just what I saw.
Hey, guys, I think you got to give credit and hats off to the Seattle Seahawks for making those defensive adjustments, being without Earl Thomas. You still have
Absolutely.
You still have Richard Sherman. You still have guys up front that can rush the passer. So, yeah, he may have went conservative, and that you could say that, or you could say the fact that the Seahawks made the defensive adjustments in the second half that shut down some of the things that the Buccaneers were successful with in the first half. So, for me, with Dirk Cutter, it's clock management, and it's also finding that balance where you're not only the head coach, but you're also the offensive coordinator. And you have so many hats, so you have to defer to those people that you hire, like a Todd Monken, like the person you hired at the beginning of the year to talk about your clock management and to help you with that during the Rams game. That was a mistake. So that's what I'm looking at. We had the same type of conversation when John Gruden was here, and he was the offensive coordinator and also the head coach. How would he handle it? Well, you had Bill Murr in the background. So we'll see how that works out. But overall, they're 6-5. If they went on against the San Diego Chargers, which I think they will, they'll be 7. That's 7 wins. That's 1 over last year. That's improvement. You got to love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick Brown, I got to get you in here.
The one thing about Dirk that I was worried about is, and it happened earlier in the season, and I asked him about it, was last year, if he got a little pass happy, Lovie Smith could always say, Dirk, run the ball. Now Dirk swears that Lovie never had any influence on his play calling, and I call bullshit on that because because I know Lovie Smith, and I know Lovie would be like, run Doug Martin. So I asked Dirk, who would do that? Who would play that role? Who would be the guy to tell him to slow down, stay with the game plan? I thought he got out of the game plan early in a lot of games early on this season. I think he's doing a much better job. And like you said, Pete, and I wrote a story about this yesterday, is how the run-pass balance has helped this offense because they're in a lot more third and manageable situations. And it's not necessarily the running backs getting a whole bunch of yards. Right. It's just putting them in ideal situations. So as long as Dirk, and this is my fear, or this would be my fear as a fan, that Dirk doesn't get a little flustered and abandon what makes this team a dangerous offensive team, and that's abandoning the run too soon if something's not going right.
Yeah.
No, I agree on that. And look, you build this offensive line to be road graders, okay? And these guys are run blockers. They're not the best pass blockers. They're run blockers. You have these guards. You have Penfield, who has athleticism, who's big. You have Marpet, who's big and athletic. The reason why you have those players on your offensive line is because you run the ball. So run the ball. Stick with that game plan because that game plan is working. That, to me, is probably as important or more important than the defense itself. I'm sorry. Like, if you have a good running game, you can cover up. It's a good deodorant to cover up for your defense because you keep that defense off the field. You keep your offense on the field, and you can win in this league like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I don't want this to be bad. I don't want it to be about bashing players or anything like that. I think Jameis Winston has done a good job. Over the past couple of weeks, he's done what he's needed to do, and he's not put the team in a bad situation. So I think he's continually growing. And again, what Mike Evans has done, Mike Evans from last year to this year, night and day. This guy, I would be disappointed if he didn't make it to the Pro Bowl. Yeah. So they're just go ahead.
Obviously, he's going to make it to the Pro Bowl. Let's talk about some of these unsung people that possibly, because they're not a household name. Ali Marpet, I'd be disappointed if he doesn't make it to the Pro Bowl because there's not a guard in the league, in my opinion, that's playing at a higher level than he is right now.
I got one for you. Kevin Panfield, he's playing at the high level that Marpet is. I think that guy right there deserves the Pro Bowl too.
But I get it. But I think Marpet should get there first. Can we agree on that?
No, I would think Panfield's come out of nowhere.
Do you think Panfield is better than Marpet right now?
I think Panfield coming in for Mankins and being on that side where you have to protect Jameis Winston on his blind side, I actually think that's more important than Marpet. Marpet's a great player, but who could have seen that Panfield was going to come in here and do what he's done on that left side now?
Well, I think you would have. I think Rick Brown would have because Rick Brown covers the Bucs, and I think Gene would have because we love him. And we thought Panfield was a great player. When we signed Sweezy, we all thought, why are we signing Sweezy? Because when Panfield stepped in for Mankins, we thought he would be able to be a good starter for us, and we don't understand why we signed him.
He's been better.
Well, my thing too was I've always, and you guys will admit to this, you guys know this, I've always lobbied for Pamphile to get more playing time. And this was way back before, he was on the field a lot. I said, this guy, he has potential. I felt like he needed to get in the rotation. Unfortunately, there were guys in front of him, and it's a different coaching regime. But again, he's done what I thought he would do, and I'm real happy with him. And another thing, with the Pro Bowl, and you guys all know this is a popularity contest.
Yes.
And the fact that the Bucs aren't winning a lot of games, they're not household names. And I think as the Bucs win more games, they'll become household names. I look at Lavonte David. A lot more people in the NFL know about Lavonte David because he did get to finally go to a Pro Bowl, and he got exposed to a lot more people in the NFL. And, just players like that. I think winning covers a multitude of sins, and it opens a whole lot of other doors.
Well,
so,
you brought up Lavonte David. Rick Brown, can I go to you? Lavonte David is not having the year that we're used to. Should fans be disappointed, or
No.
what is your theory on why Lavonte David is the third or fourth leading tackler on his team when he normally would lead the team?
Let me just preface this right here. If I ever hear anybody talk about trading Lavonte David, I will choke slam you through a table. I'll choke slam you through a table. I'm just saying. Okay, go ahead. No, I heard somebody. I've heard 3 so-called fans say trade Lavonte David. I will hurt you. I'm a plane ticket away.
Arizona. I don't want you to come.
I'm a plane ticket away. Okay, but Rick Brown, go ahead, Rick Brown, and get back to what you want. Go ahead and answer that.
Should we be disappointed, or what's going on? Why is Lavonte David not having the year? Let's say like Quan Alexander.
He's a good year.
Go ahead, Rick.
Lavonte isn't having the year because he's not being asked to do what he has done in the past. Lavonte is being asked to do different things. He's more in coverage. He's more of a secondary. He's not attacking downhill like he's done in the past. He's more. He's in coverage more so that he's attacking. And you're used to seeing Lavonte attack downhill. He's just doing different things. But no one on the Bucs coaching staff is disappointed in Lavonte David's play. No one. And he hasn't missed too many tackles like his counterpart has. Mm-hmm. And I thought last week you saw him making a few more splash plays, which you're used to seeing. And I think that's just Mike Smith respects Lavonte so much that he has him doing everything. And so he's saying, okay, when Quan busts this hole right here, if he misses, please clean that up.
Okay.
Please be there to clean that up. And while you're at it, watch that tight end because he may do it. If he goes out, then you're going to have to watch him too. And also that running back who goes the opposite way, keep an eye on him too. And I'm not making this up, guys. They're asking him to do more. And so while I think in the beginning there was an adjustment period, I don't think so now. I think he's settled into that role, and he's just not being asked to attack downhill, attack the line of scrimmage like he's done in the past.
I look at some of the players that played next to him, like a Mason Foster, and those were years where he got a lot of tackles. And he made a lot of plays based on who was playing next to him. And could that potentially be part of it as well, where who he's playing next to, he doesn't have to do as much as he did? Is that something that's a possibility?
Well, when you say not do as much, I think he's doing more this year than he's done in the past. I just don't think and that could be it, whereas they have more, they're letting their middle linebacker be the attack dog instead of their strong side linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Or
You
weak
know
side
what?
linebackers, excuse me.
You know what, Rick? And you know, one thing I think about too when you're talking about it, I'm glad you brought it up, and that's why we got Rick Brown on this podcast tonight. You know, when I listen to when Derek Brooks used to play and with Hardy Nickerson, the cover 2 was geared to funnel a lot of the tackles towards Derek Brooks, and he would get a lot of things based on just the way the defensive scheme was. So bringing that up, what you're just bringing up, saying that he has more responsibilities, but it's not necessarily to be a tackler, I think that helps the fan understand why Lavonte David may not be, you know, in the top of the tackles like he was, you know, in previous schemes, because this scheme asks for him to be something different. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront today, brother.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime.
And I tell you what, guys, you can use this analogy. If you want to talk about consistency with the quarterback and an offensive coordinator, why can't you talk about the same thing with Lavonte David and Gerald McCoy? How many defensive systems have they played under? So, again, I go back to Rick's point. I think it's an adjustment period. This defense finally feels comfortable, and you can see that they are comfortable. And on top of that, I think it goes back to the main point of Mike Smith coming out and basically saying, look, we simplified the game plan. We're not asking these guys to do too much. We're kind of taking it as we have a rookie quarterback, except it's on defense, and we're going to simplify things and identify those strengths and weaknesses and what we do well and exploit those.
There we go. There we go. So, guys, are you guys – is anybody going to San Diego, or are you guys watching the game? Sean, where are you watching the game at?
Hey, man, I don't know where I'm watching it at, but you're closer to San Diego, sir. Are you going to get out there?
You know what? You may see me.
Okay. Okay. If you're out there, you need to go ahead and text us and let us know so we can see your sign that you have out there. Me, Gene is out there in San Diego, brother. You know,
That's
the Bucs
right.
The Bucs have a great time out in San Diego the last few times they've been out there. Obviously, we
Hey,
Warren Sapp turned the whole fortune of the franchise around when he was out there in San Diego. So, listen, I'm looking forward to this game. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to this game. I think the Bucs get a win this weekend.
yeah, all right. That's what I'm talking about. Peter Blake, what are your thoughts on – you get your parting thoughts on the game this weekend?
Yeah, no, I definitely think they have to carry over this momentum. They have to beat the San Diego Chargers because that's a team they should beat, even though it's on the road. This team has found ways to lose games. They're not a good team. Show me your record, and I'll show you the type of team you are. Right now, the Buccaneers are hot. They got to continue that. And where will I be watching the game? Of course, at the Tan Talk Sports Network studios. I'll be running the Greek show. I'll be running a hip-hop show, and I'll still be doing everything correctly while watching the Bucs game. So there you go.
Rick Brown, will you be – I know this isn't your team, but will you be watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yes, it's the team I cover. So, yes.
I'm just saying. I
will
know it's an away game. You know, the Washington will be playing too.
Let's get this right. When it comes to money and when it comes to fandom, money always wins over fandom in the Rick Brown household. So,
Cream. Is it cream?
I will. Hey. Dollar bills, y'all. No, and so, but I am interested to see. I've been impressed with what they've done the last 3 weeks. I want to see if they can continue this momentum. They seem to. Momentum is a very interesting thing, and when you have it, when you have the confidence, that is a wonderful thing, and you can see it break. You can see it brewing throughout the team.
Swagger.
And so it's going to be interesting to see if it continues on Sunday.
Yeah, most definitely. And I do want to give a shout out to the Buckaholics. That's a California-based group, and they come together. And I'm telling you what, these guys know how to party. They came to Arizona right before I went to the UK. I would have been at that Cardinals game, and they were at Hooters the night before, 50 deep.
Wow!
And they were doing it. And the tailgates, What the Buc is the only other tailgate that I've seen that I would even, well, I can't really compare them, but they get down. They do the thing. And I'm telling you, you're looking at maybe over 100 Bucs fans just from the Buckaholics alone that are going to be in San Diego representing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I know some of the Buckaholics are watching. I want to give a shout-out to them guys because they've got it organized and they do the thing.
That's right. What's up?
And I want to say this before I go out of here, man. You know, you guys all know that I'm not really a big social media guy, okay? But
No, really?
yeah. My friend Gene, though, you know, every time I talk to him, he says I got to get off the phone because I got a turkey or a chicken or something on the grill.
I'll barbecue, baby.
I'm looking at his name right now. He's Chef Gene Thomas, and I'm telling you right now, I can't wait to have some of your food, brother. When you gonna something the weekend I get down with you and get with some of your chicken, man.
Hey, I will be in Tampa for Gasparilla, and you know what? We gonna throw down. We gonna throw down somewhere.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
If there's a grill and some charcoal, I'll make it happen. We can get over to Cacciatore Brothers over on Howard, and I'll get the meat. So, you know, it'll happen.
You get the meat, I'll bring the appetite. How about that?
All right, we'll make it happen. Hey, fellas, I appreciate it. Sean, as special guest, thank you for coming on the show. Sean the Sports Don, Peter Blake, Tan Talk Radio Network. Rick Brown, one more time, new rebranding. No longer today's pork skin. Pigskin. I got pork skin.
Oh, yeah. Pork skin, pigskin. It's all.
Because it don't exist no more. I want some pork skin, boy. I'm about to run and get me some pork skins now.
Hey, find me on Twitter at RickBrown91 and read my work at fanragsports.com. Fanragsports.com. Click on NFL. You'll see me.
Yeah, next time I have you on, I'll have the link and everything. Peter Blake, let's talk about your show.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen to the only FM sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area on Saturday afternoon from 3 to 5, the Sports Web. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Saturday afternoons will never be the same. It's the evolution of sports talk radio. We'll give you your own walk-up music. We'll let you call in twice, and we don't hang up on you like those other sports talk shows do in the Tampa Bay area. I'm your host, Peter Blake. He is
Don the Sports Don.
And we are
giving you something
to think about.
Yeah.
All right, and we are out. Go Bucs.